growing up, going to actual playoff and real, and we got to change how crazy Cleveland can get. And I know you have, Dan, and guys listen, haven't, but that's a level that you didn't even see yesterday. There is a whole, if you create that, there's no doubt in my mind that you can have that 12th man scenario here in Cleveland in a completely unique way, especially come December when teams got to come to Cleveland and deal with ice cold and snow and rain and hail and the loudest crowd in the NFL. But you only get that consistently, little by little. You got to keep showing progress.
Yeah, yesterday we're saying, man, I wish that we had gotten the Saints in here till September, and something to be said for that. You like to play those indoor team degrees outside, but we got the job done anyway. But you're so right. There is no track record in 15 years in this town of having a real home play because the team and the coaching staff have squandered whatever enthusiasm there was by not coming out and being at their best when they had the crowd in the palm of their hand ready to fall in love with them. And so yesterday what happened, and they gave a performance that was worthy of it. And so that's something we haven't seen a lot of. And like you say, it's not going to happen overnight. It's cultivated with Vic more on there.
Absolutely. Mike Pettin won't be buying drinks for at least a few weeks, but you guys keep getting better, and none of you will buy drinks for the rest of your lives if you turn this thing around for good, not just for a week or two.
No doubt. I mean, the Browns know that they own this town, and if they win, none of them will ever pay for a drink or a meal again.
Change that letter, though. They don't just own this town, Dan. They owe this town, too. It's been a while, and we've had to deal with a lot since 1996.
It was nice to hear Brian Hoyer acknowledge that yesterday, and of course he's lived it in growing up here. But he said, the fans deserve this. We owed them this, and that was a nice sentiment to hear coming from him. Obviously, he believes it because, like I said,
all that he gets down and kisses the ground after that game because he knows how long it took to get back home and get to do it again, and he might have never gotten it. He didn't know if he was going to get back there, and
right. Well, what he said
is.
Was 2004, the last time they went home opener. He said I was graduating.
He was in
from
high school. Yeah,
yeah.
Exactly.
So that gives some perspective to him.
And you know who that was that they beat, just for you guys?
That was the Ravens, was it not?
That was the Ravens. That's right. So here you go, man. Let's see. Hey, I don't even know. I'd have to go look. When is the last time that the Browns started 2-0 at home? Was it 2007? Did they start 2-0 at home?
No, it couldn't have been 2007 because they didn't win their home opener that year.
No, you're right. Absolutely right. Yeah, because of the 10 years.
The earliest it could have been was 2004. I don't know. But,
I don't think they've ever started 2-0 at home since they came back in 1999.
No, I don't think they have either.
That's amazing. That's sick to think about what I just said. They've never just won their first 2 games of the season at home since 99. First one. That took a long enough time to get that part figured out. But yeah, man, there you go. So think about it, man. And like I that up is 97.2% of the world had the Browns locked up and changing quarterbacks and going 3-13. So far, so good.
Yeah, that's right. It's a long season, but there is. You look at that schedule, and I was looking down the schedule before the season started. After a couple of exhibition games, trying desperately to find a. You look at it again today, and it doesn't look nearly as daunting, especially when you've seen how bad the Raiders are, and how bad the Jags are, and how bad the Buccaneers are. Those are 3 of our next 6 games, and the Tennessee Titans are no juggernaut either. And we saw how bad the Steelers can look on the road.
And the Steelers coming back home.
There's nobody on that schedule other than the Ravens for the next 6 games that looks like a game that you could, just automatically chalk up as an L for this Browns team. So, you got to be encouraged in this next 6 games against some of the lesser lights. Maybe you can really make an impression, and like you said, you'll have the town on its ear if you can go even 4-2 or something over those next 6 games. That would be people would be dancing in the streets.
I told JK, I said, I'm just looking for win number 2. I'm not going to say the P word right now, but if you can just hang around 500 until that Tampa Bay game, and you know who maybe finally perhaps is actually allowed to come back and play football. I'm just saying. You never know what could happen. But the key in that is you've got to get to that point of the season first. Doesn't do you any good if you're 1-9 after 10 games, then it doesn't really matter. But, hey, even Jonathan Knight softened up, just letting you guys know. He said he only needs to see the Browns play a game like they did yesterday about 5 more times in a row before he's ready to start buying a little bit of the stock and thinking that perhaps the corner may be turned. So there we go, because he wouldn't even have given him that 2 weeks ago. So they have softened his hardened heart just a little bit.
That's good to hear about JK. I like JK.
That's my man.
You know, the only problem with the NFL so far for me is that the Bills are 2-0, and they're playing next with that draft choice of ours next year. I mean, what's going to happen? You know, I don't want them to be in the 20s. I see them. You know, of course they've got a few tough games coming up. Their schedule's toughening up a little bit, so we'll see. They are one of the surprises of the league so far at 2-0.
I mean, really, because the Browns pick is going to be the last in the first round, so we're going to need them to get that other first-round pick up. I'm just
exactly kidding. Right. We need an early pick as well as our own. Yeah.
You don't want to have that Super Bowl pick at the end of the first round. We gotta get.
I hate when that happens.
I hate when that happens for the Browns. But all joking aside, I'm with you. I saw them start 2-0, and I'm like, man. So 2 weeks, maybe 2 of the first 5 picks in the draft. I'm like, well, so far this isn't cooperating, but there's a lot of football left to be played, so we'll see how it goes, my man. Hey, I know you and I don't get to catch up on Wednesday, so real quick, last take from you on the Browns. Do they handle the Ravens at home? You're going to be there. The place is going to be rocking. Do you think they can pull this game off?
I do. The Ravens on Sunday. I'll go right out and say it.
I'm calling 2 in a row.
I think the crowd is going to be the factor, and we've got. It's tough to win on the road in the NFL, and the same is true for the Ravens. They're going to have a hostile greeting next week, and I say the Browns come out on top.
And I'll tell you what, I see Bruce in the chat room, and I hear you. The key is keeping Brian Hoyer upright and safe and injury-free here this season, because they indeed were 3-2 last season. And when you lose your starting quarterback and your spark and the thing that actually won a few games, then you lose 8 in a row. We all know how that season unfolded from there. So that's going to be the key. And I think that's what that's what led to Brian Hoyer even getting an opportunity this year to beat out Johnny Manziel is what if? And the coaching staff and the ownership going, yeah, but what would have happened if he wouldn't have got hurt? Maybe you still would have lost 8 in a row. Maybe not. And I think that's what opened the door for him to get this season.
Oh, I don't think there's any question that one thing we didn't see a quarterback do in this town for a long time is string some wins together and look competent playing the position. And Hoyer did exactly that before he got hurt. Mental favorite because of the story on the field, and had been productive even with everything else that was going on around him, and anything closer to between the Cleveland Browns running the football this year, what they struggled to do last year. Just a complete 180 helped Hoyer, because if you can't run the ball, play action means nothing.
Brother, we 2 games of this season, the Browns be 3rd and 1 or even 4th and 1, and just casually walk up to the line up in a running formation. You know damn well what they're going to do, and they run it, and they get it because they believe in their running attack. And I don't know if you heard me, but I mentioned one of the things JK and I were texting about during the game was later in the 4th quarter. He's like, Jerry, I can't believe they're still dedicated to the run. They're not abandoning it, because I think that's part of the key in why those last 2 drives worked, because you still had to respect the run because they weren't going away from it.
Yeah, you're right. And the other thing we were noticing, I believe, and I'm not sure about this statistic, but I think the Browns had 3 rushing touchdowns last year. And they didn't. I think it took us till the 10th game. I want to say the 10th game before we had a rush, and that was Edwin Baker, if I'm not mistaken, and he had a couple more before the season was over. But I want to say 3 on the season, and they've got 3 already in a couple games. And it's just like I said, it's night and day. The like you say, going up there and acting like you can run and getting it done. So, yeah, I'm not sure about that statistic, but I think it took us 10 games to get a rushing touchdown. I think we had 3 on the season, and that's our total right now.
You're right. Sometimes they don't even do it out of the shotgun. They walk right up to the center, and they do be amazed at how many yards these running backs are getting, and they are, both of them. The youngsters have done, we already mentioned that, Terrence West, more yards from scrimmage than any other rookie running back so far in the first 2 games. You got to like that. And, again, just we'll see what happens this week, but I'm with you. I said they were going to beat the Saints, and I said it on Monday, by the way. Hopper on the bandwagon guys in the weekend jumped on board. I said it when everybody thought I was insane, so just keep that in mind. However, I also said it was the season of destiny, but there's 14 games remaining, so I'm all right here so far. But anyways,
yeah, and just for the record, Jerry, you were right, but they still think you're insane. So.
Oh, that's true. Oh, I'm insane no matter what.
Nothing.
You talk about the world falling on its axis, and the Browns have to go out here and do it. If they beat Baltimore, could you imagine if they head into the bye week at 2-1 instead of 0-3, like the whole world had them? I mean, that would just be talk about flipping the world upside down.
Oh yeah, the town would just be going. The town would be writing songs.
Just the NFL around the league, because take notice. But you have to make people take notice. We can joke all you want. You've won 1 game so far. So you go out here next week and you try to make it 2, and then you go for 3, and you move on from there. Can't wait to see it.
Realistic people like you and me, we just say, hey guys, tap the brakes. But we're as crazy as the rest of them. So we're enthusiastic. We're feeling good today. Let us feel good today, and we'll catch up on next Monday and see how that Ravens game went.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait for sure, man. I'm feeling good about everything today. Like I said, I thought maybe the sports gods even threw some extra goodness out this weekend because the Indians didn't have the best weekend. They even with St. Ed's making the number 1 of the top 25 in high school football. I said, see, that was the sports gods. Just sprinkle in a little bit of extra. They're like, all right, Cleveland, we know we got you with the whole Tigers thing this weekend, but here we go. We'll hook you up. Oh, by the way, hey, the Buckeyes bounced back, but I was out of town. I was mentioning this earlier, and I was wrestling in Erie, and one of the guys like, hey, man, just got done watching that Buckeyes game, man. Oh, you had to love it. They were all over them. I said, no offense. I said, yeah, it's cool that they won the game, but you must not be familiar with Kent State. No. Who is that? I said, you're supposed to win 66-0. So yes, I'm glad that they did. If they didn't win 66-0, then we had more. That's what you needed to see. You needed 300 yards out of JT Barrett. You needed a dominant performance from your defense, and they.
Yeah, you're right. That was really, really an awful football team we played on Saturday.
Really bad.
I could not believe how inept weapon on the offensive side of the ball, not a single playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. Just really a talentless football team. They can win a football game. It's been such a come down from that nice team they had 2 years ago under Hazel and went 11-1 or whatever. That thing has just fallen off a cliff. And I couldn't believe how bad they were. I wanted to see a game between them and last year's Florida A&M team because I think that would be a good contest. The team the Buckeyes beat 72-0 a year ago. So it's hard to get a good grasp on what the pass defense, for example, looks like. I heard Bruce Feldman, one of the national guys, I think, say yesterday that the Ohio State is the only team in the country that has yet to give up a passing play of 20 yards or more. And I just laughed out loud because, first of all, Navy doesn't even throw the ball at all. And then yesterday or Saturday, you played fight their way out of a wet paper sack. So I just don't, really learn anything from that about how the pass defense. But what was good is a ton of reps for Barrett, a ton of reps for Samuel and for Elliott. And Elliott started to look like the number 1 running back on this team. And lots and lots of young kids got their first game time ever as Buckeyes. A couple of the offensive linemen. Raekwon McMullen had some extended action, pretty much played the whole second half. You had Eric Smith in the game. You had, several freshmen, I think 5 or 6 freshmen, Jalen Holmes, number 10, playing at the defensive end. So Meyer really, lost a lot of red shirts yesterday, Saturday, by playing some guys their first action. Dante Booker, the kid from St. Vincent,